thinking. You're believing a contradiction.
When you can prove that there is any God, let alone your God,
Jesus rose from the dead. He already proved it.
then you have, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
So we are getting, I don't know what the context is of this discussion. I don't know where it's happening. Don't know what the context is, but it seems like this is a yes, it is, no, it isn't type argument. Two men are shouting past each other. The non-believer is asserting that there is no evidence presented for God. And the Christian, it seems, he is just asserting again that we have ample evidence for the resurrection of Jesus. Now, of course, I would counter-cite my entire other channel, where I spend a lot of time discussing the resurrection claims and why they fall short. Anyway, but here we are. It's tough to know. It's a yes, it is, no, it isn't level of discourse. It's lovely and good to see.
Prove it.
What year is it?
Prove it.
2023 AD, after the death of who? Not Buddha, not Muhammad, not Charles Darwin, Jesus Christ.
You can hear the theist saying OCE, after the Common Era, which is what, of course, there was a movement a while back and ongoing. So instead of saying BC and AD, that we would use CE for Common Era and BCE for before Common Era. The people who I see object to this primarily are theists and Christians. I've occasionally used CE and BCE in my videos, and it actually confuses a lot of Christians. They don't even know what that is. So there's kind of blinders in that way. If it's your own group that is using naming conventions, that's one thing. But, the fact that your in-group uses dating methods that refer internally to your own internal events is unsurprising. All groups do that. But I thought I would point out here that he's yelling about how AD stands for after the death. In fact, I believe in Latin it actually stands for something slightly different. I forgot to look up what the Latin is for AD. Perhaps someone in the chat can remind us all what that is. But he's positing that it means after death. And he's saying, well, it's not after the death of Darwin, not after the death of Buddha, not after the death of any of these other religious figures. But no, it's after the death of Christ. And that he wants to use as evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. And I think it's fair for me to point out that is merely evidence that he died. It's not AR. It's not after the resurrection. It's after the death. So, my shouty friend, Cleveland Street Preachers, perhaps, it looks like actually maybe online there on the screen. Mr. Cleveland Street Preachers, perhaps another line of argumentation. If you want me to accept that Jesus died, I'm with you. If you want me to accept that Jesus rose, you're going to need to do a little better than cite a dating convention that goes back thousands of years, and which, frankly, Jesus is thought to have died in 30 AD or 33 AD. So it's rather imprecise, because that means that you can have 20 AD, which is actually 10 years before the death, or 13 years before the death, depending on. So, yeah, not exactly the best argument in the shed, but you got to work with what you're going to work with when you're yelling at people on the street, and let me know. Is that a good response? Have you ever heard this argument that the dating system that we use, 2023 AD, is somehow evidence that Jesus rose from the dead? And how did you respond? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments.